Right, so now we've created a new camera, we've imported a background image to use as a reference point. The next stage is to make a camera rig which will make it easier to align the perspective of the photograph around a specific point, namely this front corner of North Tower. Now one possible way of doing this is to select the camera and move the pivot point directly to this front corner. However, it's not going to give us as much control as we need, as it'll still be working off like a world axis, which if I select the building, you can see it's not really what we want, because we want a local axis that is based around this front corner and directed straight down the lens, so everything rotates around this vertical. So an easy way of doing this is to create a locator. So if I go to create and choose locator, this will be generated at 0, 0, 0. All I need to do is press W for move, and then hold down V and snap it to the front corner point. This currently follows the direction of the asset, which is like a world axis. So what we want to do is make this go directly down the lens of the camera. Now an easy way of doing this is make sure you're on animation, select the camera, shift select the locator, go to constrain, aim, and all of a sudden the locator is aimed directly down the camera. Now at this point you don't actually need the aim constraint anymore, so we can select the locator and delete that, but the locator still stays in the correct position where it's aiming directly down the camera. But we want the camera to control the position and the rotation. We want the locator to control how the camera rotates, because we want to make sure we can align everything down this vertical which we've already set from the photograph. Because if I currently rotate this, obviously nothing happens. So the best thing to do is select the camera, shift select the locator, and press P, and this parents them together. So if I select the locator and rotate, the camera now rotates around this corner point, which is our main point of reference. So currently this axis is pretty much how I want it. This one is pretty much how I want it. The only one that's off currently is this front face. And we try to manipulate this with the constraint we've got to try and align the front face. The vertical that was in line now goes off, so undo that. And if we try to do it in a different direction, the one on the back face here also goes off the perspective of the photograph. So we need to make a modification to this to ensure that this axis stays the same and we can rotate around it. So what we need to do is actually create a new group from the locator, which will provide a world orientation axis at the center we can rotate around. So if you press Control G for a group, this now builds a group at the center which we can use as the orientation. So press Insert, and we need to move it to the same point as the original locator on the front of the building. So just hold down V and snap it to the same position. Now when we come to rotate around the Y now, this vertical stays exactly the same as it should do, and we've got the option to go in two different axes. So if I now rotate around the X, I can align the back face a bit more accurately, and then switch to the Y axis, align the front face, and then rotate it back in this direction to align the top. It just gives me more control. Now that is aligned, we can go back to the cube and scale it out from this center point to make it match the actual depth of the building. So press R for scale, and we can scale it out to the edges of the building and bring this one back to where it needs to kind of be. So this camera is now pretty much in the right location to complete the rest of the scene. So at this point, it's ideal To select the camera, under the locator tab, select the projection camera, go to the channel box, select all the transformations from translate through to scale, right click and say key selected. This is in case at any point when modifying geometry you accidentally move the camera, like this for example. All you have to do is select the time frame at the bottom, move backwards and forwards, and it'll snap directly to where it was, so we're not going to lose any positions we've just set. So the next stage is going to be about blocking out more of the geometry based on this initial point of reference as North Tower, and that'll be in the next video.